No more fucking around. It's Wild Style Radio. Wild Style Radio.
What's up, and welcome back to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, coming to you live from Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia, as part of the Wild Style Network, fueled by Monster Energy. Coming back on our Sunday Ruined episode.
Ruined show. Yeah, Sunday Ruined night. So hope your Sunday is being ruined as good as ours.
Yes. And joining us in the studio is Born of Plagues.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys.
Coming off of the stage, which is unique. Yeah. We usually talk to people before they go on the stage, but I think it's fun to have people coming off the stage. How are you all feeling?
Feel pretty good.
Yeah, good.
A little sweaty.
Sweaty good. Yeah. I'm kind of sore.
Good crowd up there.
Uh-huh. So this is this like post-workout sweaty sore, like in a good way? Or
in a good way.
Oh, yeah. Well, because normally we don't get to sit down afterwards either, so this is nice.
Yeah. Not like a bar stool or anything anywhere?
These are some nice couches you all have.
It's cush.
Uh-huh.
So let's start with introducing the members of the band.
All right, I'm closest, so I'll go first. I'm Tim. I play bass.
Matt,
lead bass.
play drums.
I'm Austin, vocals and guitar.
Mike, guitar.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for coming on in. And so tell us like a little bit about yourselves, how you guys came together and how you formed as a group.
I feel like someone else should take that. These guys have all been playing together in various bands for ages.
Oh.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore bands between punk and hardcore and metal have had a lot of overlap over the years. So.
Very incestuous, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Tim were in a punk band back in the early 2000s called Fighting Chance. And then we also did a hardcore band called Spit on Your Grave. Me and Mike did
Bet the Devil.
Bet the Devil,
Yeah.
which was a thrash metal band. That kind of petered out, and we decided that we still wanted to play together, and we started a band called Destroyer of Man. That went on for about a year or so, and
It was like 2 or 3 years.
was it two or three years?
Yeah, we moved slow.
And Tim, I called Tim on that one and said, hey, we're doing a doom metal band. Do you want to play? And he said yes, so we had a bass player. After a couple years, that petered out, and we all decided that we wanted to keep doing what we were doing.
Sure.
And we put out, I can't remember if it was a Facebook, like music.
Adult
ad.
Friender.
Some kind of musicians thing.
And
that's where we found Austin. Yeah.
It was
said,
in the
okay.
Maryland Doom Facebook group.
There we go.
Yeah.
And
Pure Maryland Doom.
Sherm. He jumped on board, and shit worked out, and we've been doing this and going strong and trying to do what we do.
Yeah, we when Matt and I decided we wanted to kind of slow things down after Bet the Devil, that was a very technical thrash sort of speed metal kind of band, and we're getting older, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to play fast for that long, and we were like, let's slow it down. We love doing music, and you know,
Pull the mic just a little bit closer.
yeah, and
How the
so
rest of us are doing it.
So we said let's slow it down a little bit and but keep it heavy, and yeah, we love Doom, and there's just so many Doom bands out there that play 3 chords, and I love to listen to that stuff. I just don't like to play it.
Right.
It just bores me. I've
Right.
played so many technical things over the years with a million notes in each song.
Right.
You know, so we said, well, we can still have really slow, heavy parts and add some other stuff in there. And it just naturally did that. You know, our music did, because we're coming from so many different backgrounds: hardcore,
Sure.
metal, as he said, punk. And, you know, I like that about us because it really keeps us challenged to write stuff that sounds good but doesn't make us bored, you know.
Sure.
And we're very picky. It takes us forever to write songs.
Yeah.
We're super picky about our music.
Okay.
I think that comes with age and just being in different bands.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was It was the Maryland Doom Facebook group, so I messaged this asshole back. I thought they were going to want me to sing like Wino.
And we said, no. Can you sound like Barney from fucking Napalm Death?
Yeah, but they played me the first couple songs they had written, which are actually the first 2 songs on the album that we put out a few years ago, and it sounded like the European Doom that I'm into, the old like Peaceville stuff, like My Dying Bride and Early Paradise Lost and that kind of stuff. So I jumped right in. I loved it.
And at least
the harmonies and everything.
The first song, Feeding Fear, that was an old Destroyer Man song that we played
was
live but never recorded, and so you got to
change the lyrics too.
Yeah.
Tell them what the lyrics are about. That's an interesting story.
That's a different question. That's not
Well, I'm interested in kind of the Baltimore scene because, you know, we've been around for a little while too. And obviously Baltimore seems to just have a real legacy of great music coming out of that area. I know a couple guys I work with have talked about the hardcore scene there and, you know, really into punk and hardcore. So, you know, coming from Baltimore, talk a little bit about sort of the roots and the scene there.
Who wants to field that one? Is that a me question?
I feel like that's a Matt question.
Start with Matt. Back in my day.
Since I'm an old man. But technically, I grew up in Fairfax, which is just...
we were going to talk about that.
Okay. Dan,
This is like Nardwar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan from Age of Ruin is my next door neighbor growing up. But I moved to Baltimore in 2001. In the 90s, I played in a hardcore band called First Offense, and we were really good friends with one of Baltimore's biggest hardcore bands, which was Next Step Up. And we did lots of shows together. And then First Offense kind of fell out, and I joined another band. Do I say that band?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I was in Darkest Hour. I was their original drummer for many years. And then I moved to Baltimore, and JR from Next Step Up kind of was like, hey, it's about time you moved home because you never really were a DC kind of guy. I took that to heart, and I found Fighting Chance with Tim, and we became Spit on Your Grave. I did lots of hardcore bands, Hell to Pay, couple spots here and there. I filled in for Dead End Boys. I filled in for Iron Cross, the legendary Iron Cross. And there's not a whole lot of drummers in Baltimore. So it's like, oh, Matt'll do it. And most recently, the original, like, godfathers of Baltimore hardcore, Gut Instinct, asked me to play for them, and I'm now doing that too. So I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But honestly, Born of Plagues is my, like, first love, because that's stuff that I'm writing, that's stuff that I'm doing. We practice once a week. We're writing continuously and trying to put stuff out there. The other bands, I love them to death, but we're not really like, it's like, all right, let's play this set or play this set. But with these guys, I'm steadily writing new stuff and challenging myself.
I mean, even just growing up, going to shows, you know, I first started going to shows in like 2000 or so. And, you know, like VFW hardcore shows, and then going up to Baltimore for punk shows, and then, you know, the Sidebar and Auto Bar at the time, then Talking Head. And, you know, they all did, you know, punk shows, and then kind of more hardcore. And, you know, it's just kind of been, there's just always shows, there's always a scene, there's always you know, some solid venues that are bringing in just good shows. So, you know, even 20 years later, it's still lot of good stuff going on all the time.
Sure.
I'll say I'm the oldest one here. 'Cause I am.
You got me by like 6 months.
Okay, but I've been in Maryland longer than you, so.
That is true. That is.
And I actually started in the late '80s with a band called Silent Darkness, and we were like huge Wrathchild America fans.
Oh, yeah.
Before they became Souls of Zero,
Yeah.
and you know, we were playing everywhere when I didn't even have a license to drive yet. I was like 15.
Right.
There were so many clubs in Baltimore and surrounding counties.
Right.
And it was a huge scene. And as soon as the like 92, 93 hit, the grunge scene took over,
Right.
and all these clubs shut down.
Right.
And so the band kind of fizzled out, but most of us were also going to college then and
Right.
getting our careers going. And I really would think like that period from the 90s, there just wasn't much of a scene at all,
Right.
at least in metal.
Right.
Maybe in other genres such as, you know, grunge being probably the most popular thing in that time.
Right.
But really, like Tim said, in the 2000s, clubs starting opening again and starting playing, and metal bands were starting to form again,
Right.
and stuff like that. And yeah, I got back. He mentioned Next Step Up. He's filling in. Well, technically, he's in the band now for Next Step Up. But I played in Silent Darkness with Next Step Up because two of the guys in the band, Aaron and Mike Ayers, I grew up with them. They're like my best childhood friends,
Okay.
and we would play shows in like the Bel Air Youth Center, you know, it's a county youth center, in the basement of an old church for like $2 for a kid to go in and see a show.
Sure.
And we would pack this tiny room, smaller than this place,
Right.
with like 400 kids. The walls would be sweating with humidity and just gross. Yeah, it was great. Those were the best shows of my life.
Nice.
And I'm super happy we
Besides
played
our
this.
shows, right?
Well, this show here, this brought me back because there were a lot of younger kids circle pitting here,
Yeah.
banging their head in a row,
Yes.
all just having a blast.
Yes.
And I miss that. I miss that so much because all these shows, I mean, we have a lot of friends that are our age.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to dance anymore because they'll be laid up for 2 months, you know, if they injure themselves or longer.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to ask you guys about that, like just on a complete tangent since you brought it up, because we saw that moment where you had arm-in-arm headbanging going, like
It was
right in front of the
amazing.
stage, like you had a
Amazing.
couple rows of it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how that felt.
This was one of my favorite shows I can't even remember, since I probably was playing in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, it was just so much fun to see all those young kids enjoying music, having a good time out with their friends, dancing, doing what they do, and oh man, I miss that. Just don't see that as much at the kinds of shows that we play, you know.
Sure.
It was interesting because when you guys were playing, Age of Ruin was up here and we were chatting with them, and so we've got a little game. We'll probably throw a couple questions at you guys, but one of the questions was related to would you rather see headbanging at a show or moshing at a show?
Yeah.
And
it literally kicked in.
Yeah,
and
and Ben
the crowd,
goes-
like they heard us.
yeah,
Gave us their answer.
yeah, and Ben's like, I would love to see like a whole row of people just headbanging in unison, and then right at that time we look up,
And they were doing
that's
it.
what was going on.
Nice.
So nice work, you all.
Yeah.
Nice work, nice timing.
We did our job.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got both.
Yeah, it was real cool. We don't as I'm not part of the Baltimore and the hardcore scene. I came up in New York City.
You are now.
I've been playing in doom bands since 2004, and like I've never had moshing at my shows.
You'll get like the
because it's
slow
always
head
been
nod.
slow. It's just like it's a dude in a flannel standing there with his beard, nodding his head.
Right.
And like you lock eyes with him, and you're like, okay,
Right.
I can tell that dude's digging it, but I'm not entirely sure. So like when the kids are going nuts, I'm still just like, what the? It's crazy. I love it.
So yeah, so Matt, you brought up, your songwriting, to kind of get back to that. So tell me about that process. Like, what is that? How are you all like in terms of composing originals, and what does that look like?
Real slow.
Yeah, in the Doom world.
Yeah.
So Mike comes up with most of the riffs. Last time we did an interview, I overstated it and he yelled at me.
I'd say 70-30.
I don't think I contribute that much. Certainly on the first album, I don't think I contributed a single riff to that first album. That was all Mike. So Mike will come with riffs, and usually he doesn't come with a whole song. He doesn't usually, sometimes, but doesn't usually come in and say, okay, like, this is the verse, this is the chorus. He'll just kind of go, all right, I've got these like 3 riffs that I think go together. What do you guys think? And then it'll be sort of all of us in a circle going like, all right, well, that sounds like a good verse, but from there it needs to do something like, and somebody will just like sing a part, like, oh, it needs to do something like, dun, dun, wah, like whatever, and then he'll figure it out.
That's me.
Like these two have this crazy connection where Matt can just be like, yeah, you know, something like, and he'll name a band and like hum a little riff. And Mike's like, oh, yeah, okay, and plays it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm completely lost.
It's been like 15 years.
Straight. Yeah, that Matt and I have been playing together, writing since Bet the Devil and Destroyer Man and now this band. And one of the really cool things about writing is that Matt will be driving in his car and he'll just think of some melody in his head and he'll hum it out on his phone so he doesn't forget.
Right.
Bring it to practice, and he goes, here, Mike, listen to this. And he goes, da, 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 da. And like, it takes me a second, but I get it. It's like our brains are on. And some of these new songs we just played, he actually wrote the guitar parts by humming them. And he translated into me figuring out the chords, and then Austin will add the harmonies and layers to it. And all that stuff. So yeah, it's
I'll say let stuff ring out, and you know, try to get the flow down.
It's one thing coming up with riffs, but composing.
It's a very collective effort. Our writing is definitely a very collective effort.
And it is often painstaking. We will spend weeks and weeks replaying a song and going like, I don't know about that part. Right. And like, oh, should I do something different here? And can we slow that down? Can we simplify this?
Can we drop that octave or half step?
Yeah. And like Tim will joke that he's like, oh, I just tell him to slow down all the time. But like he makes some of our songs what they are by having that ear and saying like, all right, like I hear what you're doing, now do it slow. And we hit it, and he goes, yeah, that's it. And we all go, yeah, that's it. We got it there. We were just working on a brand new one just on Thursday that, like, I had some riffs, and I knew coming in, I'm like, I don't, they're not there. Like, I've got the seed of something. I know I want to write this song, like, but I need you guys to help me with it. And, you know, I came in with these riffs, and he was calling one, like, the Alice Cooper riff, because it was all, like, 80s cock rock bullshit. And, you know, just, like, kind of bouncing it back and forth, like, someone being like, oh, try this, and someone going, okay, like, that's cool, but try this. And we nailed it, and I'm like, that's the riff I wanted to write. That sounds like Crowbar. So it's a, very collective and sometimes very slow process, but ultimately, you know, we get where we kind of have a common vision and where we all want to be.
Sure. We'll get them to like 80% pretty fast, or like 90%, but then it's just weeks to finish that last 10%. Let's just start a new song. Let's just keep playing the same thing.
Problem is,
we'll iron it out later.
We'll play it for months one way, and then Matt will go, I just don't like this beat. And I'm like, don't change it.
But sometimes that beat sucks and it just doesn't work, and it needs to be different.
It's like they can't open
That's
winners,
why it takes us so long. We're very critical of ourselves. And I think that just comes with experience and with doing this for so long. And we want to be good, you know? We don't want to just go, that's good enough. Let's go record. You know?
Dude,
we're kind of in no rush.
We'd have 8 albums if it was just, that's good enough. We'd have 8 albums.
The amount of riffs we've thrown out, you could probably fill a garbage dump with.
Matt clips them and keeps them in his wallet. He's always got like, oh, remember this riff we played 5 years ago? It's like, dude, that sucks. Get rid of it.
So do you wait till you have like 12, 14 songs before you choose to go in and record, or you guys do EPs? What's generally been?
So our average song length is like 8 minutes. So not that many songs.
5 or 6.
The first album is the first 5 songs we wrote together, really. There was one song that we got rid of, and I don't know if we wrote that before or after.
I think we still recorded it, just never finished it, or did like one pass. Where we're like, fuck that song.
I like the lyrics,
there's no plan B with some of these songs.
Yeah.
We threw that one away, and we recorded the first album.
We did that ourselves, all DIY.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
It's the
nice.
first time I've ever done that. And all the
Nice.
bands and everything we've ever been in, it's always gone to either really
Sure.
expensive studios or
Sure.
really, friends studios, and I really enjoyed that. It was
Okay.
challenging enough in itself to write the stuff, but then to record it ourselves and come up with something we were really happy with. Austin had the most recording experience, like actually engineering.
Uh-huh.
You can,
Okay.
I don't know if you want to mention
Yeah,
any of that,
sure.
but
Yeah.
he's recorded some of his past bands too,
Okay.
and they sound great too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I had a friend in high school who was kind of a rich kid, and his parents built a whole extension onto his house with a studio in it. And just like we'd all go hang out at his house and play around. And
Right.
for a while, I had a band that rehearsed there. We'd just go there like every Saturday all day and like order pizza, hang out with him, and jam and whatever.
Sure.
And then when I was, I guess in college and right after college, I did like some internships at a couple recording studios in New York City and Hoboken, New Jersey. And
Hobo.
yeah, me and Sinatra. And so like I learned a little bit of what to do. And at that time, I was playing in a couple bands in New York, Agnosis and another one that doesn't bear mentioning. And it was just kind of like nobody had any money, but I had a laptop, so like let's
Right.
figure out how to do this.
Right.
And then after New York, I moved to Kentucky for about 9 years, and I was living with another dude named Austin Lunn, and he's
Still so weird.
all right.
Whose
Man,
mail is whose?
Two Austin Lunds in the world.
love that man.
The other Austin gets all the parking tickets.
And he was playing in a band at the time, and kind of he said to me one day, he's like, man, like if I could do whatever I wanted, I would just do like a one-man basement black metal band. And then we ended up living together, and it was like, well, man, like we're here, we got a basement,
Right.
like let's do it. So
Yeah.
I recorded his first 2 albums, and I mean he's gone on, the band is Panopticon. They're like premier American black metal. Like he makes his living off it now, and I'm like, we started in the basement. Like the first time he did his vocals, like we both just bust out laughing. Like we're like that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever done, and now like he does it for a living.
Yeah.
So I have the gears kind of collected over the years, and it was during kind of COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, well, like a couple of us can go into the practice space at a time and wear masks, and just like I'll put
Right.
the mics up and go stand over here while you play, and we just bit by bit did the album like that.
Right.
I did
Yeah,
all
it
the
was a-
vocals in my own basement at home. My kids are like, "Why are you down there screaming?" Daddy's working.
Well, the tech.
And it was a bit more because we were able to practice, so we were all practicing wearing masks for a while, getting everything ironed out, and then it was just like, well, half of us are working from home, so it's like we spend the weekend getting the drums down, and then just come in whenever. Nobody's in the practice space at like 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, so it was nice to be able to get in there and
Yeah, it was super quiet.
Do one track.
Like, hey, if we get in here at, like, everybody that played on Friday night is still drunk at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So if we get in here at like 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, nobody's going to be here. And that's how it worked out. Nobody was there, so we had a super quiet, no other bands like coming in through the walls or anything like that. So we were able to record, and it turned out, as far as I'm concerned, it turned out amazing.
I'm pleased with it.
I'm very happy with the way that.
Yeah, we wanted it to have a little bit of a rough edge, a little underground, but it sounded a lot more polished than I even expected it might, just because our practice space was dirty and gross, and things were wires were everywhere.
Drop
Yeah.
ceilings, and
Yeah.
there was another drum
But
set
hey, it's
in
metal,
there, just-
it's metal and it's raw and it's ugly and so
And it turned out exactly the way we needed it to.
exactly, for what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the tech innovations in the technology is much better now. So you can do a lot more with less. So
Yeah.
And I mean, all of us starting out recording, I mean, Matt and I were recording with Fighting Chance with the tape, so it's just like, you gotta do your punch-ins and rewind everything. It's just like, all right, I gotta, I'm not the cleanest bass player, but it's just like, I hate recording. You gotta rewind and, Yeah, I
redo
got to
it.
make sure I'm actually paying attention to what I'm doing. So it's, digital helps.
Yeah. And it's funny though. Like I was working in studios 20 years ago. When we recorded the album, like my Pro Tools on my computer was probably already 8, 9, 10 years old. And like I don't even have Pro Tools anymore. Like I feel like a dinosaur. I'm like all these kids are out there doing stuff on their laptops, and like I don't even know where to start. So we've been kind of kicking back. We're like, how are we gonna do the next one? Like, do we want to try and DIY it again, or like what are we gonna use? And I'm shaking in my boots. I'm like, I don't know if I could do it anymore. Like, all these kids are way beyond me. I teach middle school. I could probably find one of my students, be like, hey, you know how to do some recording? And the kid will be like, yeah, I'll show you.
You're like, oh yeah. We'll come out, we'll run your social media, and we'll take care of it all.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to ask you some basic would you rather questions.
All right.
And comparatively, it's going to be interesting because we've had Anesthesiac in here already. So, in terms of age, I have we've noticed some differences already.
You fucking calling me old?
No, I wasn't saying that, but I was going to go to Age of Ruin. So there was an age gap between Anesthesiac and Age of Ruin, and the answers I think were distinctly different. What I think was different about you guys though is not age; it's the doom metal approach, because you guys brought that up already with the headbanging versus the pit, and Kevin mentioned that already as one of our questions. So it's going to be a good comparison between all the bands that are here tonight and seeing how they're going to make this approach with those questions. If John is out there.
I saw him scamper off.
I know. Like I just kind of looked up, and I think I see him on the other side of the wall. And and I think, did he say text me if you want me to come back around? I think maybe. All right.
He's pulling double duty.
I see that. All right.
Did you say duty?
He did say duty. John, there he just saw us. I was gonna text him. John, we're cutting to Would You Rather. We're cutting to Would You Rather, John.
Would you rather work this podcast or go to the bar?
Poor John.
Would I rather talk to the boss or do the podcast? That's the correct one.
And you were working out whatever was happening with sound. In the meantime.
What, like we talked about, what's an A1, A2? I'm wearing a lot of hats tonight.
Yes, you are. Thank you, John. And you got water. I'm not gonna go away from that one.
He's got us hydrated.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
this comes from the perspective, really, of you attending a show, not playing a show. So obviously, we all do that. I mean, that's pretty much a given. So with that being said, in terms of when you go to a show and it's sold out, would you rather be there in a seated show or as a standing general admission show? It's sold out show.
I'm gonna give you the oldest old man answer here.
Love it.
I can't sit for long because it makes my hip hurt.
Wow, I thought you were going to go the opposite way on that. I was going to go a different direction.
But I'm a shorter man, so
Are you really?
At a general admission show, I can't see very much. But all the same, I think the feeling of being at a general admission show and being able to kind of push up through people and get up towards the front.
Yeah.
I think that takes it absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd say sold out general admission as well, because I do generally make my way up to the front, and then that also goes in with what I prefer in a live show, because I would rather see not that I'm up there doing it, but
Right.
I'd rather see a mosh pit than headbanging, because again growing up going to punk shows.
Hey
and
man, that's
hardcore
the
shows.
next question. Slow down.
But it was already asked.
We can
It was
jump.
like half a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So sold out general admission.
Yeah.
definitely sold out general admission. As
Wow.
much as I hate people in general, because I really don't like people,
Yeah.
but seated just feels weird to me.
Yeah.
Coming from the punk and hardcore
Sure,
background and the metal scene, you don't sit at a show.
Right.
So
I
definitely.
also don't always buy tickets too. So sometimes
Well, yeah, hey, you slip in the back door, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely sold out
Yeah.
standing.
Are we unanimous?
Yeah, we're unanimous. I'll say ditto, but I had to make one exception. I saw Van Halen probably, I can't remember how many years ago it was, 5 or 6 years, but
Yeah.
it was when David Lee Roth did the tour and
Sure.
Eddie was still here and
Wolfgang.
sitting in something like that, I know if that was a general admission standing, I'd never be able to get up close enough to really even see anything,
Right.
and I would have still paid $500 a ticket or whatever it was, ridiculous amount. So something that big is kind of good because, especially if you get the layered seating and nobody's in your way, and but most of the people were standing during that anyway.
Sure.
Right. So you were at least you had your spot, and if you paid for a really good seat, you could see really good.
Size matters.
Right.
Size matters. I'm with you. Well, we can be a little late. We were talking about that. We were talking about that with Age of Ruin. So like that's the nice thing about seated.
Well, yeah, that's
you
true.
know, you're late to a standing show.
I saw Bad Religion at a soundstage a couple months back, and it was way too small of a venue for that. But it's just like, how am I going to finagle?
I think the last seated show I saw was Anthrax, Slayer, and Megadeth.
Really?
See, I had floor seats.
Baltimore Arena.
Yeah.
Clash of the Titans. I was at that
Dude,
show.
it was a great show.
It was awesome.
It was
I was there,
fucking amazing show.
And they figured out a way to get a little bit of moshing going on, even though it was seated,
But-
particularly during Slayer.
But honestly, that was the last time I was at a show that was like, okay, there's this many people. Here's where you're gonna be.
Yeah. I guess I saw Billy Joel like that.
I can't remember.
Well,
I think when I was dating my wife,
fucking Billy Joel.
when I was dating my wife, I saw Tool in Atlantic City. I think that was the last time I was seated. That had to be 2007.
Danzig didn't have seats.
No.
There were seats, but
Also, that show was
A couple times saw Iron Maiden.
sold out.
Iron Maiden was all seated because they're just so gigantic. you know?
Well, I was lawn for. I couldn't afford seated.
I had to see him with seats because I hadn't seen him for so many. I grew up, of course, listening to them since probably '82.
Was that the Merriweather show or was that Jiffy Lube?
Well, I think I saw him. I think at Jiffy Lube twice, or maybe it was one at each.
Because
venue.
the Merriweather show,
Yeah.
I showed up to the gate and they told me I couldn't bring my wallet in because
That was your fault. We missed
it had a
Motorhead
chain on
because
it.
of that.
So I had to go back to the van and put my wallet in the van, and then I came back and I got through the gate in time to hear Lemmy go, "Thank you very much. We're Motorhead."
Well, and I did see Maiden at one of their later tours where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna play our albums from the last couple years." So it's just like that was not selling out.
Yeah.
I got the pit tickets for cheap. So it was like being able to get up there and be close was awesome.
Cool.
It's like but for something like that, seated is fine at that point.
Dude, that Merriweather show.
Forward.
That Merriweather show was awesome because not only did I get to see Dio before he died, but I got to see Motorhead for a third or fourth or fifth time.
Sure.
Right before he died. And then Maiden on top of it. And it was the Somewhere Back in Time tour. So it was all like classics. And
Wasn't the new your 2-year experience.
Yeah.
not that that's bad stuff,
All right,
because
right.
Maiden's Maiden and Maiden's great.
I mean, but that was back in like 2001 or
Oh,
2003
yeah,
or something.
it was.
right?
It was
Yeah.
like
we talking
I think it was 03.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
I think I might have caught that tour.
Dude, it was amazing. It was simply amazing.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Motorhead and Dio opening for somebody.
But guess what? Nobody will
Had to
ever
be
see
Maiden.
Dio again. Nobody will ever see Motorhead again.
Oh, they're gonna do holograms, dude.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah,
you
there
know.
is that. Uh-oh.
Oh,
A little lighting
so
issue, a
Mrs.
little
Shaw.
ambience.
We got some mood now.
They don't want to talk to us anymore. I'm sad.
I saw Dio at Painter's Mill Amphitheater.
Nice.
That was a great show.
Painter's Mill. Geez, that
Right
wow.
before it burned down.
Yep.
You interviewed him there too, right?
He wanted to do an interview because he was sort of on the. It was just pre-grunge. Like I think it was "Lock Up the Wolves" was the album that came out,
Yep.
and
Killer album.
he was not selling very well. And I worked at the student radio station where I went to school, and he's like, "Oh, you do radio? You want to do an interview?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't bring any recording equipment." He's like, "Well, here's my," gave me Wendy's cell phone number. He's like, "Here, this is my manager. You call her. I'll do an interview at any point in time." It was really cool, but
Nice.
very down to earth.
That was evidently before email.
It was, and it was before email. Yes, it was.
There's my PO box.
And I think the cell phone was probably, this big.
Yeah. I love
Zach
it.
Morris cell phone.
We're all of that age.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit the next question.
John, I didn't know where John was. I was afraid to ask him to move forward.
Well, he turned the lights down for the next week.
so that was on purpose.
This must be the sexy
No, that's
question.
Windows doing their updates without prompting for approval.
You are.
So
Damn, I thought this was the sexy question.
You're absolutely right. This is the sexy question. Go ahead, guys.
So this one, again, probably personal preference.
Since you're all
but
standing, so
Yeah.
we've established that. So this ties in pretty well.
would you rather stand in front of the stage of a general admission sold out show or stand in the back of the crowd at a sold out general admission show?
Yeah,
That's honestly a tough call.
I mean,
Again, being a shorter man, standing in the back often makes it real hard to see. So sometimes I go straight up front just because that's the only way I can see what's going on. Because there's always somebody in front of me, and I'm like peeking in the hole between people's shoulders. But sometimes the sound is better in the back, and if you're in a venue that has kind of an angle to it, and you can get a little elevation in the back. And it kind of depends. Like some bands, I want to be right up there in front.
Absolutely.
And rocking out. And some bands, like I want to lay back and watch them play because that's what I'm here for. So, like really kind of depends on the venue and the band and the situation. I can really go either way with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked already that I'm, I like being up front, but, there are some bands where you don't necessarily need that, instrumental ones. So, back in the back, with the sound guys, by the booth is, the primo spot. So, some shows, you don't need to like make your way all the way up the front, but generally usually still prefer to be up closer.
Glad you guys haven't given up the front because
hell
I'll
no.
sell out Age of Ruin on this one. They were all like, we're all going to stand in the back. And then Daniel was one, like, maybe sometimes I'll get up there. But, they were like, I'm good just chilling.
Me and Timmy went and saw Old Man Danzig in Atlantic City just a few months ago, and we were up front.
Yeah, we were about halfway. I feel like maybe we were holding each other back where we actually probably would have gone closer.
We weren't all the way up front, but we were.
We talked ourselves into doing how long of a road trip, or it was longer for me, a road trip. Because it was like, when was the last time either one of us had driven that far to see a band?
College.
The tough one is like when you mentioned Bad Religion and overselling the place. When the place is totally oversold and you get up front, you had a few pops, and now you got to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Trying to muscle your way back up.
Somebody wants to kill you.
Becomes challenging because they're like, I was just standing in front of you.
See, I don't drink, so I'm all right. I'm safe.
Some people use Depends.
Yeah, that's
I've
Yeah,
heard that.
I'm not sure I could get,
Right.
I will get there soon enough. I'm just not sure I'm ready for that
You're not
at a
gonna
show.
voluntarily use Depends at a rock
I don't
show?
think so.
At a rock show.
Richard Christie on the Howard Stern show. He played drums for Death. He talks about that.
Exactly.
It's so gross. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's
he's
like-
drank 4 beers and then he uses the Depends.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
He's like, it's so.
I swear I'm not there yet.
Me neither. I couldn't do that.
All right, John, what we got next?
Let's hit one.
So
one
you guys,
more.
I got to go down to the mix of Age of Ruin. So I'm just going to leave this screen up. If you have your questions for the next one, or I can pop it up real quick.
You'll pop up real quick. Do the one about the badass.
I'm a badass.
Exactly. Is that cool? We'll close on that one, and John? Threw John a curve.
Chirp, chirp.
Hit him at the wrong time.
There we
Got it.
go.
John, you were the man. Thank you, sir. All right, so you're in that general admission crowd. Would you rather be next to the angry dude who wants to fight you over the space that you're standing in, since Kevin brought that up? I know you're talking about the Fillmore because that seems to happen a lot over there. And or would you rather be next to the dude who can't stop busting badass?
Oh.
So we probably are all the dude.
That's me. I am the dude.
I'm
Which
pretty
one?
sure I'm both of those guys.
Which one? Yeah.
I mean, I saw Guns N' Roses at the
funny.
Fillmore in Silver Spring, but it was Axl and Scabs. But it was still like,
jeez.
10 rows back, so it was still awesome. And there was some just like massive dude who was like just pushing and shoving. I was just like, knock it the fuck off. And he was just kind of like, just like some big drunk guy. So if I need to, I'll can back him up.
So you'd rather take the dude out than be next to the dude with the badass.
But we're going to like hardcore shows, so elbows, and you can be like 3 rows back and you're still gonna get clocked.
I got COVID about 3 years ago now, and I still can't smell farts.
Oh,
fully.
You want to test that? You want to test that? You really want to test that?
Do your worst. But I have a story. I went to Chicago to see Monster Magnet.
My God, my ass.
Shit, I don't know what year that was. I think it was right after my son was born. So it's probably about 2013. And Monster Magnet is not a moshing band. Like, it was a crowd of people our age, like, who wanted to just kind of groove on the music. But there was one drunk dude who absolutely was determined to just like tear shit up. And I was standing there like with my wife kind of in front of me, and he was heading straight for her, and I think I kind of stopped him one time, pushed him back, and he came again, and I turned around. I don't even know how I did it, but I managed to get my hand on his chest and just shoved and put him on the floor. Mm-hmm. Like his ass hit the ground, and and I was like, done. Felt like a badass for weeks after that. I went back to work. I told my boss, I was like, listen, I'm not taking shit from anyone ever again. But then,
dangerous minds.
So like he wobbled away, and then his woman came up, and she was like 3 times his size. It was like David and Goliath, and here she comes like raging, screaming at me, and she tried to throw a drink at me. And again, I'm not a tall guy. It went straight over my head and hit this monster of a man in front of me. So he turns around and starts going back to like get at her, and I just kind of slipped around in front of him and enjoyed the show and just sort of like let all of that bullshit happen behind me.
Yeah, generally the angry people at some point or another are not going to be there. For you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I'd still take the guy who can't stop busting ass. 'Cause I don't want to fight.
You're immune, and you have immunity.
Yeah, I've got the.
Yeah.
I don't want the drama either. I mean, it's like if you get hit the wrong way and then you're out of work for months,
right?
Because of some injury and all that stuff. If somebody's got busting ass, I'll just get out of the way somehow.
Shirt.
Filter.
Yeah.
See,
At least hope they're loud enough you can laugh.
I can deal with farts, but if you're being an asshole, that's where I stop. That's how I got my job. I worked at Auto Bar for years, like 10 plus years, Auto Bar in Baltimore. And the way I got my job is it was a Madball show, and I was on the edge of the pit, and some dude was crowd killing, and he punched me in my face. I wasn't dancing. I wasn't on the floor. Right. Some dude like straight up just like came across the pit and punched me in my face. I proceeded to go out on the floor, and I grabbed him by his throat. Next thing I know, one of the bouncers was picking me up like I'm a popsicle, and like he just like lifted me 4 foot off the floor. And we go outside. He puts me down. I said, I understand. I didn't mean to, but he punched me in the face. I know I got to go. And other friends found the guy that punched me in the face and brought him outside. And needless to say, he went about his way.
You're being very political.
I am. I'm being polite about this.
Yes, you are.
He went about his way, and I was told I was not allowed to come back into the show, which I understand. And then they told me I could go upstairs to calm down and have a drink, so I went upstairs. And I'm having a beer, and next thing I know, the head of security comes up and says, hey, we saw what happened, and I'm like, okay, where's my band? And they're like, no. Do you want a job? And I said, yeah, sure. So I became a bouncer / bar back at Auto Bar. So I gotta say, you know what? If you're being an asshole, I'm gonna fight you. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I'm fucking almost 50, but if you're being an asshole, I'm still gonna fight you. So that's my take on it.
That is the most positive story I could ever imagine.
I just growing up in
the job interview.
growing up in the
Yeah.
punk rock and hardcore scene, you don't take shit,
Right.
and I'm not gonna start shit,
Right.
but I'll damn well finish it.
Right. I got you. You like I think probably the doom metal collective approach, like on the answers to that question, was very like you guys are like solid. I don't think either that phased you, like either circumstance. Like there was no like, oh, that sounds horrible.
We like farts and fucks.
Farts and fights. That's what we're all
like,
about.
I'm good to go.
Like had our experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, that's all?
So as we're gonna wrap things up here, let's share out where folks can find out, where you guys are playing, where they can check out the music.
Absolutely. We're on all the social media and all of the streaming platforms. We're Born of Plagues. Timmy, what's our Instagram handle?
It's, Born of Plagues Doom. We got underscores though, because
In between the words,
we do.
The kids don't know how to underscore.
They'll search it. They'll figure it out.
Wait a minute, what's an underscore?
Just use the search function, kids. Born of Plagues. We're the album's on Bandcamp, but it's also streaming. It's on Spotify. I listen to it on Pandora because I'm old. Everywhere, right?
There's
it's
videos on YouTube.
iTunes.
Yeah,
We've got a YouTube channel. There's live videos, practice videos. We're fairly active for a bunch of old farts on
link
on
in
Instagram.
Instagram bio. That's what the kids say.
Yeah, link in Instagram bio, 100%. I don't think we're on TikTok yet.
No TikToks.
Our next show is March 11th. It's a Monday. We're doing a Metal Monday Auto Bar show in Baltimore City with our friends Bleak Shore.
That's right. And then in June, we'll be at the Maryland Doom Fest in Frederick, Maryland.
Oh, nice.
That means I don't have a long drive to go home.
For once, yeah. I do.
Staying at your house.
We're all crashing at Tim's
we
for
got a room
4
in the
days,
basement.
Tim. I want to see Sirith Ungle.
They'll throw a tent in the backyard.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for coming up.
Thanks for
taking
coming
the
up.
time,
Yeah, thanks for
especially
having
after
us.
post show. I
Yeah,
don't know
you
what you
guys.
were feeling like in
Nice
terms of
and
winding
relaxing.
down, but
Yeah,
I appreciate
this
you.
was good.
Now you're
Great
gonna have trouble
set.
getting us to leave.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take a break on the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show.
Good job, John. All right. Good man.